The Southern Upland Way, Sanker to Overfingland, 18 miles. Having conquered the Galloway Hills, we were now about to embark on a high-level traverse of the central section of the Lowther Hills, which have been compared to the misty mountains in The Lord of the Rings. En route, the trail passes through the old lead mining town of Wanlock Head. Our day 7 was extreme. 18 miles with dreadful weather and lots of very steep hills with a total ascent of 3,500 feet. By this stage, my nausea and anxiety had increased to fever pitch levels, and I was seriously worried about being able to carry on. Please see my day 6 video for more details about this. Fortunately, our hotel was located right next to a pharmacy, and immediately after breakfast, actually I couldn't eat anything because I felt sick, I shot inside and consulted the pharmacist about my best pharmaceutical options. I bought an arsenal of pharmaceuticals to add to my existing supply, including a disgusting pink concoction called Pepto-Bismol, used for treating indigestion, diarrhea and nausea, a large bottle of valerian tablets for anxiety, ibuprofen and paracetamol. I downed the lot while standing on the pavement just outside the door of the pharmacy, and we set off on our day 7. All that day and the following couple of days, I walked in a state of turmoil, drawing on everything in my arsenal in an effort to combat my burgeoning anxiety. Large doses of my drugs, deep yoga breathing, Reiki, and fierce determination, because I was determined not to allow defeat to be an option. I descended deep into my pain cave. The pain cave is a term used in endurance sports to describe the intense mental and physical state of discomfort, fatigue and struggle during extreme exertion. It is the point where athletes push past their perceived limits, often questioning their ability to continue. Athletes deploy various strategies in order to navigate their way through them. Although Alex and I often spent most of our days walking at a fair distance from each other, something we naturally do because he can go much faster than me and we are both happy to cruise along in our own little worlds, he quietly and unobtrusively provided wise and gentle support. On this particular day, Alex and I shared his AirPods and jointly listened to some chapters from The Lord of the Rings as we walked along in the pouring rain, and this helped to focus my thoughts on something other than my mental state and stopped me from constantly worrying about my situation. In the evenings, I spent more time doing yoga breathing exercises and meditating, and my husband Steve offered me his pragmatic support over the phone by reassuring me that I was more than capable of doing the walk and to just get on with it. Slowly, as we progressed further along the trail, I started to bounce back. In retrospect, I think that I was helped by a combination of the drugs, especially the valerian, which is a wonderful natural remedy for mild cases of anxiety, my breathing and meditation exercises, fairly demanding physical exercise, the beauty of our natural surroundings, with and without rain, and my dawning realization that having walked half the trail, I could definitely manage the rest. Looking back during the following days, I also realized that I had been presented with this added challenge because my guides wanted me to talk more about depression and anxiety and the inextricable links that exist between the body, mind and soul. In other words, whatever we put in on one level will affect the others, for better or worse. The power of positive thinking is indisputable, but sometimes circumstances can knock us off our perch. Once again, I would like to offer encouragement to anyone who is in that deep, dark hole, and let them know that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, even if we can't see it at the time. I think that this is a very important message, and one that many walkers will appreciate, because having chatted to many walkers over the years, I have learnt that a very high percentage of them use walking as a way of helping to combat the black dog. Even today, there is a certain stigma associated with mental illness, and it is often hard for us to admit our weaknesses and speak about them. My guides told me it was important that I should address this issue here. Rose Bay willow herb growing along the trail between Sanker and Wanlock Head. Willow herb is an edible plant which is believed to be effective against stomach and mouth ulcers, and has traditionally been used for treating many ailments such as migraines, insomnia, infections, colds, minor wounds and burns, etc. We found our sixth kist, a sign at Cog's Head, which provides information about the 17th century Covenanters, who were Scottish Presbyterians who were persecuted for refusing to swear allegiance to the Stuart monarchy, known as the Killing Times. They were mainly to be found in regions such as Dumfries and Galloway. The sign says that they were forced to hold prayer meetings in secret, often in secluded rural areas like this, and the western section of the Southern Upland Way is littered with monuments to these numerous conflicts. Approaching Wanlock Head, an old lead mining village in heavy rain. Sheep at Wanlock Head, the highest village in Scotland at 1,394 feet. Wanlock Head. Lead was first discovered here by the Romans, and at the height of the mining industry in the 19th century, the village had a population of 800. Since then it has declined considerably, but the Museum of Scottish Lead Mining in the village still attracts a lot of visitors. The 19th century water-powered beam engine, used for removing water from the Straight Steps mine, one of the smaller and older mines in and around Wanlock Head. It is the last remaining example of its kind in the UK. It was absolutely pouring with rain when we reached Wanlock Head, and we didn't hang around to visit the museum because we were once again racing to meet our taxi pickup later on that afternoon. Nasty weather on our ascent of Lowther Hill at 2,335 feet. The radar station on Lowther Hill. Lowther Hill was where I plummeted to an all-time low. As we ascended the steep hill, we had a fierce headwind and torrential rain, making progress extremely hard. Although we had excellent rain gear, even that was almost no match for the conditions we were experiencing, and when we saw a shelter near the top of the hill, we literally fell through the door to regroup. By this stage I was exhausted due to the extreme conditions and being low on calories, since I had been unable to eat much during the previous couple of days due to my nausea. I remember sprawling on the bench in the hut and thinking that I could easily curl up and die there, but as I said before, defeat is not an option for me, and I didn't want to disappoint Alex, so I dug deeper than I have ever done before, and somehow I managed to access my core and summon the strength to leave the hut, engage once again with the elements, and carry on up and over the hill, followed by a string of more nasty hills: Cold Moss, Coombe Head, and Loch Hill. We found our 7th kist. Arriving at the A702 and our taxi pickup to take us to our accommodation at the Hopetoun Arms in Lead Hills. This was like a haven in the wilderness. It has been lovingly restored to a very high standard, and the comfort of our rooms, the cosy open fire in the lounge, and a good meal all worked their magic, and I actually started to feel better again, despite our challenging day. It was also where we met Lolita, a young French girl, and the only other person, apart from Sal and her dog Bobby, that we came across who was also walking the trail in our direction. She had started off in Port Patrick on the same day as us, but this was the first time we had crossed paths. She had been planning to camp, but the foul weather made her change her mind, and she ended up staying at B&B's for the remainder of her walk. Please see my Day 8 video for the continuation.